Hi, friends. This is the math lesson for second grade. This is Unit 5, Lesson 2, Part 1. Before you start watching this video, I need you to make sure that you watched the Brain Pop video called Time to the Minute. If you have not watched that yet, please pause this video, go into Canvas, and go to Brain Pop and watch the video called Time to the Minute. For your lesson today, you are going to need a pencil and you will need page 229 and page 231. We will be doing 4 total pages today, front and back. So let's get started. Today we are going to learn how to tell time to the minute. We learned how to tell time to the hour, where every single time at the O clock, our minute hand pointed to the 12. Well, now our minute hand is going to move around the clock. So each of these little marks stands for 1. And we're going to specifically focus on time to the 5 minutes today, not the just any minute. So time to the 5 minutes. So when you go around the clock, this is when it's right at the 12, this is known as the O clock. Okay. And so then we're going to count each of these little marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this bigger mark right here, that stands for 5. So go ahead and write a 5 in that box. Then you keep going. 6, 7, 8, 9. This next big line is 10. And you're going to go all the way around the clock until you get back up to the top. So go ahead and pause the video, count by 5s to finish filling in this clock. Okay, so we have 15 right here, 20 at the 4, 25, 30 at the 6, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and you get back up to the top and you have a 60. I also like to write the 0 up there that way, because when we write our actual times, we know that that O clock has those double zeros like that. Sometimes it's even helpful to write 2 zeros. Okay, so it's very important that you know how to count by 5s, because we will be looking at times that are like 5:05, 5:15, 5:30, 6:40, 10:50, 3:55, times like that. So you must know how to count by 5s. All right, go ahead and turn your paper over. So our first part of the lesson, we are going to look at the analog clocks. So those are all the circles, and we're going to figure out what the digital time is. So we are going to write down what the clock says in digital form. Now, if you remember from our lesson last week, the hour goes on the left side of the colon, and the minutes go on the right side of the colon. You always have 2 numbers on your minutes. So sometimes you will have to add a 0, just like we did with dollars and cents. So let's go ahead and review. We are going to do some together, and then I will give you the opportunity to do some on your own. Now, please, please, please take it slow and make sure you're paying close attention to each of the hands. Now, if you remember, the hour hand is the short hand, and it's always a little bit darker and thicker. And the minute hand is the long hand. And I remember that because the word hour is shorter than the word minute. Okay? All right, so when you are telling time, in order to figure out the hour hand, now that we're not doing the O clock time, our hour hand is going to be between 2 numbers. So let's take a look at number 2. If I look at my hour hand, I can see, if I kind of extend my arrow, that it's between the 5 and the 6. Now, when you have time, if it's the O clock, it's pointing right at the 5. Then, as the minute hand goes around the clock, it gets closer and closer and closer and closer to the next number. So the hour that you're going to choose, you have to decide, is it 5 or 6? Well, we know that it already passed 5 o'clock, because if it was 5 o'clock, it'd be pointing right at the 12 and right at the 5. So now it's starting to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to 6, but it's not there yet. So our hour is 5. And a helpful way to remember is you always choose the one that is behind it, the one that it already passed. So let's just focus on the hour hand in these top 4 problems, and then we'll come back to the minutes. So here's my hour hand here. It's between the 7 and the 8. So it's not which one is it closer to, it's which one did it already pass. So remember, it goes in a clockwise rotation, so it goes around and around like this. So it already passed the 7. Let's take a look at number 4. So number 4 is between the 2 and the 3. So if it was the O clock, it'd be pointing at the 12 and right at the 2. And now as the minute hand is going, it's getting closer and closer and closer to the 3. So our hour is 2. All right, let's look at this last one. So for the last one on this line, we know that it's between the 3 and the 4. So it was at the 3 when it was at the O clock, and now it's getting closer to 4. So our hour is the 3. If you would like to pause the video and do that for the rest of these problems on this page, please feel free and do that. Sometimes it's nice to just focus on the hour hand and then focus on the minute hand. All right, now let's go back and look at the minute hand. So we know from this page that every time you get to a number on the clock, you're counting by 5. So we have 5, 10, 15. So that's what we're going to do here. We are going to look and see where the minute hand is and count by 5s to see what those minutes are. So I always start at the 1, and I see my minute hand is pointing to the 3. So 5, 10, 15. So this clock shows 5:15. So now I'm going to look, my minute hand's pointing at the 9. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So when it points at the 9, it is 45. Number 4. So my minute hand is right here at the 6. So I'm going to start at my 1, counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And my last one on this line is it's pointing at the 3. Now, I know I already did it when it points at the 3. So I know when the minute hand points at the 3, the minutes is 15. So you can count again, but you will start to memorize what it means when it's pointing at each different number. Grown-ups can look at a clock and say, oh, it's pointing at the 6. That means it is the 30-minute mark, okay? So eventually you will start to memorize them, but if you need to count by 5s right now, do it. Do whatever works best for you. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next row. If you are feeling confident, you may try all of the rest of these problems on your own. If you're not feeling confident yet, No problem at all. We will continue to work on them together. So let's go ahead and focus on the hour hands again, and then we'll come back to the minutes. So I'm going to look at my shorter, thicker hand, and we are going to count what hour it is. So I know that my hour hand is going to be pointing between two numbers if it's not on the O clock. So I know that if it is between the 7 and the 8, that I'm going to choose the one that it already passed because it's getting closer and closer and closer to 8 o'clock. So this one is 7. Number 7. So now my hour hand is between the 11 and the 12, really close, or I'm sorry, not the 11 and 12, the 10 and the 11, really close to the 10, but that doesn't matter necessarily. So I have to say, okay, which one did it already go past? It already went past the 10 and it's getting closer to the 11. So I have to choose the 10. Ooh, look at number 8. Back to, dun 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 dun, the O clock. We know when that minute hand points to the 12, it's the O clock. So you can go ahead and fill that in. And that it's going to point exactly at the number. So we know this one is 4 o'clock. That was a little treat. And number 5. So number 5 is super hard to tell. If you draw your line, whew, it's almost pointing at the 5, but not quite because it is not 5 o'clock yet. It is still in the 4 o'clock hour because it already passed that, getting closer, closer, closer. So this one is 4 also. All right, let's check out our minutes. So we have 7 for the hour, and I know that if I count by 5s to get to my 6, I'm going to have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So here I have 7:30. Go ahead and pause the video and fill in the minutes for number 7 and number 8. All right, so if I have it pointing to the 2, that's 5 and then 10. So 10, 10. And all the way to the 11, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Whew. All right, last column. I encourage you to give it a shot. Try this last row, not column, on your own. I think you would be surprised what you can do. If you want to pause the video, go ahead. Let's see what we get. So 9 and 10 is it what it's between. I know I have to pick the one that it already passed because it's getting closer, closer, closer to the 10. So that one's going to be a 9. On number 11, it's between the 10 and the 11 again, which means that it's past the 10 already, getting closer, closer, closer to the 11. So this time I'm going to choose 10. On number 12, it's between the 4 and the 5, really close to the 5, but not quite there yet. So I choose 4 for my hour. And here on number 13, we have it between the 1 and the 2. I know it already passed the 1. It's getting closer, 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 closer to the 2. So 1 is my hour. Now, if I count by 5s to get to my 6, I know 6 is 30. I know going to my 3 is 15. I know going all the way to 9, just like we did up here on number 3, that's 45. And last but not least, going to the 8, we have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. Whew! Tough, right, my friends? Tough. Okay, let's see what we have next. Okay, friends, I actually changed my mind. We're going to stop our lesson right there. I really want you to get better at reading the clocks and being able to write it. Tomorrow, we are going to practice drawing the hands, which can be a little harder. So today, We completed page 229 and 230. Tomorrow, we will work more on telling time to the 5 minutes. Great job today, friends. I'll see you in small groups.